Thanks for joining us online today. If you've been impacted by this ministry and have a story to share of how God is working in your life, we would love to hear it. Send an email to amen@anchorpoint.tv. Also, you can help bring messages just like this one to others who need to hear the hope and the love of Jesus by investing today at anchorpoint.tv/give. Now, we hope you enjoy today's message.
Grab your message notes you got on your way in. If you got your Bibles or your app, we're going to be in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 4. And I'm ready to gain some ground in 2019. And I am determined to see you gain ground in 2019. But here's what I know. It is a lot easier to start things than it is to finish things. Come on and say amen. Yeah. We are great at starting, are we not? We're great at starting diets and resolutions and plans and reading things and gym memberships. We're great at starting, but no matter who you are, at some point in time, you are going to hit a barrier. And last week, we were looking at the man in the Bible named Nehemiah. There's a book named after him, and he had a passion to see the city of God rebuilt. Man, I would pumped you up, man. You left out of here, you were ready to storm the gates of hell with a water pistol, because what I told you, he gathered all the people around in Jerusalem, and he said, we can do this, and the hand of God is with us, and I told you, you could do it, and the hand of God is with you, and you were rah, and then Monday happened, right, and life happened, and situations happened, and if I didn't tell you the rest of the story, you would think that Nehemiah fired the people up and they completed a project, end of story, welcome to the Bible. And that's not what happened. In fact, Nehemiah fires the people up and they face a crisis of confidence. And I want to speak to you on that subject of confidence. If you like titles, you can jot it down. My title for this morning is Keep Your Confidence. Keep your confidence. Say those three words with me. 1, 2, 3. Keep your confidence. I want everybody to play along, even if you're not a hand raiser in church. How many of you have ever lost your confidence? Raise your hand. My hand is, yeah. The confidence is a fragile thing. And I didn't know this as much till I became a parent. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'm just, learning all this stuff, and this has probably been about a year ago, but me and the family, we were watching America's Got Talent, and my kids anybody kid love that stuff? They love to see the tricks and the magicians and all the stuff and the singers, and we have been watching it that night, and Carter came running into our bedroom one evening, and he said, Dad, I'm going to be on America's Got Talent. I'm like, you are? That is awesome. I said, what's your talent? He said, I'm going to sing. Y'all, he can't sing. Like don't. I would rather him know that now than him go be on like American Idol and the rest of the country know it and him not. Come on and say amen. All right. So I was like, buddy, you got to be really good to sing on America's Got Talent. He said, I know. I was like, no. Like you need to be like Pastor Matt good. Come on, somebody. Yeah, I think he should audition, don't you? Yeah. And he said, but Dad, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm really good. And I was like, he don't have the genetics, because my wife can't sing, y'all. Like, she can't. I'm telling you, she'll tell you, she was singing in church one time, worshiping. She was singing so loud, so bad, the dude got up and moved 3 rows over. Okay, she can't. Hey, I love to sing, but your boy can't sing. Calm down, Melody. Calm down. You can ask my staff. I love to sing. Around the office, I love it. And I'm telling you right now, I sing some olds. I sing some I'm a 90s kid, so I sing some Boys to Men. Come on, somebody. Yeah. We were having a debate last week about the greatest boy band of all time, which is the most underrated boy band of all time. 98 Degrees, Nick Lachey. Come on, somebody. If you were new, we will get back to the message. I promise. And so, he don't have the genes, and I had to tell him. I was like, buddy, I think you need to pick a new talent. And his little lip began to quiver. And his tears welled up in his eyes. And I could tell that I had hurt his confidence. And it was a little later that me and my wife, we were talking just about genetics and DNA, because he wanted to play basketball and wanting to sing. And Avery, she's about 5'4", and I'm about 5'7". So we were laughing. And Avery looks and she said, yeah, you're not tall for a man. And she said, I meant to say you're not a tall man. I said, that's not what you said. I said, you said I'm not tall for a man. And my little lip began to quiver. Confidence, you got to keep Your confidence. I'm learning that my confidence can't be attached to what you think. And my confidence can't even be attached to what you think you think about what I think, right? Oh, yeah, I'm coming up in your house today. That's right. I got the garage coat. I'm going to come in the house. I'm going to get a coat, set my feet up on your coffee table, because you know many of us in this room are concerned about what we think that people think about us when we have no idea what they really think about us. Our confidence cannot be attached to my weakness while it ignores my strengths. My confidence cannot be attached to a comparison through a lens that is not real, trying to impress people I don't even know and not sure if I even like. I have to learn to keep my confidence. So how do we do that? Well, I think we got to know what Nehemiah knew. If you're jotting down notes, this is our key thought tonight. I think Nehemiah knew this one thought. He knew that God rebuilds broken things. He knew that God rebuilds broken. If you don't get anything else I say today, I want you to get that. God rebuilds broken things, because no matter who you are in this room, all of us experience brokenness. And sometimes brokenness happens to you, and sometimes brokenness happens because of you. And here's what I know: no matter where you are on your faith journey, whether you're not started or just getting started or you're a seasoned believer, is brokenness shakes confidence. It shakes our confidence in ourselves. It shakes our confidence in our God. It does. It just shakes confidence. And when your confidence is shaken, it's hard to trust that God rebuilds broken things. But we got to have our confidence attached to his faithfulness. Let me say that again. We got to have our confidence attached to God's faithfulness, because his faithfulness is unmatched. And the reason I can have confidence today is I know how it ends. I know that God rebuilds broken things. I know that God rebuilds broken lives. I know that God rebuilds broken dreams. I know that God rebuilds broken hopes. I know that God rebuilds broken emotions. I know that God rebuilds broken relationships. I know that God rebuilds broken people. If you believe it, say amen. If there's anything I learned from Nehemiah, is that God is not intimidated by our circumstances. In fact, when we come to the book of Nehemiah, you got to understand Nehemiah serves God during a dark time in Jewish history. The Jewish people had been conquered 140 years earlier by Babylon. Now Persia has conquered Babylon. So we have a people who has been taken captive, basically forced into slavery / indentured servitude by an oppressing nation. They have been taken captive. The city of God was destroyed. At the time of Nehemiah's writing or action, it was actually destroyed for 140 years, and Nehemiah has this passion to rebuild the city of God, Jerusalem. The only problem is he wants to rebuild it, but he's not a builder, he's a butler. He is cupbearer to King Artaxerxes, and he's not a soldier, and he's not a builder. He's a butler, but he's a butler with a passion to be used by God to rebuild the city of Jerusalem. So last week, we said that the king had given him permission, because he served the king as the cupbearer, and we said that the king had given him protection, and we said that the king had given him resources. So he goes to Jerusalem, which is about a 1,000-mile journey, and then he gathers the people up, and he has a speech, and he gives them the speech. Now, before we dive into today's comment, I need to give you a public service announcement about today. Because I'm preaching about Nehemiah, and in the book of Nehemiah, it talks about building a wall. And I'm being very, very serious right now. I'm being very, very serious. I outlined this series a month ago. This is not a political platform. This is a spiritual platform. If you're going to interpret your Bible, the best thing you can do is interpret it within the context that it was written. So I'm not like making a subliminal message about a wall. I'm preaching about Nehemiah, and I'm taking principles that we can apply to it, okay? So I just want you to know that, because when he assembles the group in Jerusalem, Nehemiah builds 32 different teams to start rebuilding the city. Because he's not just building a wall, he's building a city, and he's going to build the temple. But anyway, all right. So he assembles 32 different teams, because Nehemiah knows that teamwork makes the dream work. See, Nehemiah, I didn't come up with that. We put it on a shirt. John Maxwell didn't come up with that. Nehemiah came with that. So they start the work, and then they face the struggle. So I want to give you 3 things you can do when you start something and then you face a struggle. 3 things you can do to keep your confidence. The first one is this: don't listen to everyone. Number 1, right? Woo, I'm about to set some people free today. Yeah, it's going to be a good day in church today. I'm telling you right now, don't listen to everyone. Not everyone has your best interest in mind. You got to learn to consider the source. Learn to consider the source. You got to practice the art of selective listening. Most men in this church do that anyway. So you should be good to go. Let's dive into the text. Here's what it says in verse number 1. When Sanballat, let's just classify them as the opposing army or opposing God. When Sanballat heard they were rebuilding the wall, he became angry and was greatly incensed. He ridiculed the Jews in the presence of his associates, the armies of Samaria. And he said, what are those, say the underlined word with me, what are those feeble? All right, he's attacking their ability. What are those feeble Jews doing? They had already been defeated, okay? Will they restore their wall? Will they offer sacrifices? Let me translate that one. Will they build a temple back because the temple had been destroyed? Will they finish in a day? Can they bring these stones back to life? If I was there, I would have interrupted and had a keyboard player and say, I can't, but I serve a God who can. You know, it'd been fun. But Nehemiah didn't do that. He lets him talk. And he says, will they bring stones back from those heaps of rubble as burned as they are? And then Tobiah. Oh, Toby. Oh, man, there's always a Toby in town. There's always a Toby. Toby the Ammonite says, who was at his side. You know what I found out? I found out that critics are bold in crowds. So Sanballat's already starting in. So Tobiah says this. He says, what they're building, even if a fox climbed on it, it would break down these wall of stones. And the reason I know Toby is because I used to be Toby. I'm telling you, I was not a big man, as you can hear, but I had a big mouth in high school. Anybody want to own that? All right, I did. All right, and man, I tell you right, man, Brad, I could bump them gums. I tell you, and I remember we was playing a crosstown rival at high school in high school football, and I didn't play football, but dude, I was cheered. I was like, get your hat, your coat, and leave. Get your hat, your coat, and leave. I mean, I was we all got our keys out. We're like, crank up the bus. You know. I was like, football season starts tomorrow. The football season starts tomorrow. I mean, basketball because they were playing football. I was doing all this stuff, and man, I got a little. They were walking out, and the student section from the other school was walking past our student section, and y'all, I was in it, and we were Central Cabarrus, CC, so we were going C's up, C. I got a little ghetto in me. I was like C's up, C. And so this group starts approaching my group, and I was like, Got my squad. I was ready. And I was telling them all the things we were going to do. You let us get outside this stadium. You meet me at my car. We going to do this. Little did I know that our student section had left. And I'm telling you, if y'all think I'm crazy now, imagine 17-year-old this right now. And so dude's like, we who? I'm like, we. My ride's about to leave. I didn't know what. Because cowards are brave in crowds. That's what I've learned. And if you want to lose your confidence, just listen to your critics. If you want to lose your confidence, just listen to your critics. Because to gain ground or to do something significant for God, criticism is going to be part of it. In fact, if you don't want to be criticized, just don't attempt anything. Because everyone doesn't have to approve of your priorities. See, we got to quit looking for approval and start understanding that we have been approved of. That we are approved of by God. That approval comes from God, not from people. That if Avery loves me and my kids respect me and God is pleased with me, I don't put a whole lot of weight to what people think about me because I'm not looking for approval. I'm living from approval. I don't need your validation to value me. I'm valued because I'm a king's kid. I'm valued because God loves me. I'm valued because He sent His Son to die for me. So I want you to watch Nehemiah because you got to notice what he doesn't do. He doesn't get mad about the criticism. He doesn't complain about the criticism. He doesn't post about the criticism. He prays about it. He doesn't even give them a response. Not every critic deserves a response from you. Quit chasing down what everybody's thinking and saying. Who cares? You are approved of by God in heaven. Here's what Nehemiah did. He went to God. He said this, and I love this prayer. Some of y'all need to adopt this outline. Hear us, O God, for we are despised. And turn, I love Nehemiah, turn their insults back on their head. Get them, God. That's what he says. He needs some Jesus. He needs some grace in his life. Give them over as plunder of the land. Don't cover up their guilt. He says even if they repent, don't do it. Don't let them, God. Don't let them off the hook, God. Don't blot out their sins from your sight. Nah, they've thrown insults in the face of the builders. So what did they do? We rebuilt. That's what we did. They just kept working. We rebuilt the wall till it reached half its height. And the people worked with all of their, say it with me, hearts. Criticism doesn't faze Nehemiah. Criticism fuels Nehemiah. We got to learn to let that same thing get inside of us, that we need to learn, because everybody in this room's got a Sanballat, and maybe he's not saying Sanballat. Maybe her name is Sally at the office, and she's always got something to say. When you see Sally, you need to thank her. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me know I'm headed in the right direction. Thank you so much for what I'm doing. Let me know that what I'm doing is worth it. Quit allowing people to determine your decisions and your destiny. Seek his presence, not their approval. In fact, I think we can learn from Nehemiah. You need to pray and move on. Just pray and move on. Well, they did pray and move on. Quit complaining, pray and move on. Quit wishing and pray and move on. Quit rehearsing what happened and pray and move on. Quit replaying what happened over and over again and pray and move on. That's why 21 days is so important, because we shut out the world and we seek God, that we don't listen to everyone. We are tuning our ear to hear the voice of the only one that matters. The second thing is this, if you're jotting down notes. The second thing we all can do to keep our confidence is we can adjust to overcome the opposition. Adjust to overcome opposition, because every plan encounters problem. Last week, we preached about define the priority and then lay out a plan. And a lot of you did that. But every plan encounters problems. So if your plan is not producing what you want, you have to change what you're doing. Great leaders make good adjustments. Great businesses make good adjustments. Great coaches make good adjustments. Wish Saban would have made a few more last Monday night. Roll Tide anyway. All right, so last week the people were like, we can do this. This is awesome. Watch what happens in verse number 10. Meanwhile, the people in Judah said, the strength of our laborers is, say it with me, giving out. And there is what? So much rubble. Notice where their confidence is. We cannot rebuild the wall. Also, our enemies have said before they know it or see us, we're going to be right there among them, and we will, say it with me, kill them and put an end to their work. I don't like this part of the message, but I have learned in my life that where there is no opposition or obstacle in our life, there is no dependence on God in our life. I wish it wasn't. Because like when you go through a struggle and when you go, I'm really good at giving advice. I really am. I'm good at inspiring and I'm good at motivating. I'm like, you can do it, and God's with you, and it's going to be awesome. And then sometimes I get a little angry, and I kind of got to get in your face a little bit. And I'm like, suck it up, buttercup. Life's rough, get a helmet. You know, those type of things. You know, when life gives you lemons, throw the lemons back. Ask for chocolate. Get it. Do it. It's be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Anybody else good at giving advice? You good? Yeah. But when I face an obstacle or a struggle, and somebody says, suck it up, I'm like, Lord, help me, Jesus, God, help me, Lord. I can't find the keys to my car. You know what I mean? Whatever storm you got. Whatever storm you got, right? Because we're good at that. But here's what I've learned. That like it or not, overwhelming circumstance force us to depend on God. And that as often opposition is not a result of doing something wrong, it's an indicator of doing something right. So I know in your journey of faith you get tired, but you got to stay in the struggle. I know that you want to quit sometimes, but you got to stay in the struggle. I know that don't let the enemy intimidate you into quitting. Don't let the enemy talk you into quitting. If you're going to quit for a good reason. Don't let it be intimidation, because the way you gain ground in this life is by refusing to quit. So I want to break this text down a little bit more and dive a little bit deeper into it. Go back to that first one there, Mr. Gary. It said there's the strength of the laborers is giving out. If you're taking notes, circle the two words giving out and write the word, like draw a line and write the word tired. Tired. They were tired. Like they were exhausted. Anybody ever been there? Yes. When you are tired, get some rest and don't apologize for it. Ooh, pastor preaching good today. I'm telling you right now, some of you in this room, the most spiritual thing you can do is go home and take a nap. I'm telling you, some of you men, I'm telling you right now, you go home and you kick your feet up on the couch. You need to put that pillow behind your head, block out the sun, whatever you do to do your thing. And if your wife comes, what are you doing? Say, I'm listening to the pastor. That's what I'm listening to. It's okay to take a nap. It's okay to get some rest. Please don't buy the lie that busy is effective. Because I don't care how much you did, if you're exhausted at the end of it, you need to get some rest. In fact, you need to learn the word no. Come on, let's practice. You want to say it together? It feels good. It feels good. 1, 2, 3. No. Look at that. The world's still spinning. God's still on the throne. Did you know that? Like this whole thing isn't contingent on you. Next two words, they said so much. Circle the word so much and draw a line and write the word overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Because when you are tired, everything looks impossible. When you are tired, everything looks overwhelming. And I've learned in my own life, I've learned when to make big decisions, and I have learned when not to make big decisions. And I don't make big decisions when I'm tired, because your boy will make stupid decisions when he's tired, right? I've learned. It's taken me many years. You know, Sunday is a long day for me and my family. Wake up about 5:30 in the morning. We have four services. I come out here, preach with same energy, passion, foaming at the mouth. So, and I do it at 5:30 with an extra cup of coffee. Same service. We do it, and you don't have to ever worry about pride with me, because that is not when I leave here. I don't think about pride. I think about all the things I said wrong and all the things I could have said better. And God, if you can do anything with it, God, do anything with it. And I ride home and I think about all of this stuff, and I'm tired. I feel so empty, because I have tried to pour into you in 30 minutes what I feel like God has downloaded into me over 7 days and to equip your life. And when I go home, I've learned that when Avery needs an answer and when somebody else calls on Sunday night, Todd don't need, you know why? Because I'm tired and everything looks impossible. Yeah. The sky's falling on Sunday night in my house. But I've learned that I don't answer in that moment, because when I'm tired, everything looks overwhelmed. The next two words, go to the next one. The next two words we underline were kill them. Circle that and write the word fear. Fear. So watch this. When you are tired, it is easy to get overwhelmed, and it makes you easily overcome with fear. When you are tired, it is easy to be overwhelmed. And eventually you'll be overcome with fear. When we magnify our fear and minimize our progress, remember they were at halfway point, remember that? When we magnify fear and minimize progress, we are paralyzed with inaction. Some of you haven't taken a note all day. That's worth jotting down. Some of you business leaders, that'll help you out. Some of you trying to get to the next level in your career, your education. When we are paralyzed with fear, we minimize progress, and we are paralyzed to inaction. When we magnify fear and minimize progress, we're paralyzed with inaction. Don't let the condition around you affect the faith in you. Because reality is, these enemies never attack Jerusalem. They're fearful for nothing. They're wasting all that time being fearful. They're wasting all that mental capacity being fearful. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Acknowledge the fear and trust God anyway. In fact, let me say it like this. Do it scared. I'm scared to have a devotional time. Have a devotional time scared. Lead a family devotion scared. Grab your wife's hand, men, tonight, and pray for her scared. Go to marriage counseling scared. Go to a rehab facility scared. Come to prayer tomorrow night at 6 p.m. scared, asking God why. Because pushing through fear is better than living with fear. Do it scared. If you don't like what you're getting, adjust what you're doing. Let me give you a way to adjust. I know this is super practical, but if you like extra notes, jot it down. I call it the what, why, what. The what, why, what. This is how you adjust your plan. What, why, what. What? Number one, you ask the question. Here's how you adjust your life. What isn't working? And don't say everything. Everything. My whole life, man, I tell you, I'm trying to do the right thing, Pastor. I'm just trying to do the right thing. I've been praying and fasting and giving and tithing. Well, I didn't tithe during Christmas because I got a bunch of bills. And of course, the Lord knows my bills. We got everything going wrong in my life. I try to shut up. No, everything. Trying to help you out. It's trying to help you out. Everything is not going wrong. This is problem assessment. Everything in your, no, what is it? Name what? What isn't going wrong? Question number 2, why? Why isn't it working? What isn't working? Why isn't it working? Number 3, what needs to change? And you do that for every area of your life. You do it for faith. You do it for finances. You do it for your marriage. What isn't working? Why isn't it working? What needs to change? And don't overcomplicate it. If you're overwhelmed with fear, feed your faith. If you're in debt, stop spending. That's good preaching, Pastor Todd. I think so myself. That's good right there. If you're selfish and prideful, serve others. If you want to eat healthy, throw every unhealthy thing out of your house. Do you want to gain ground? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to pastor you. If you're lonely, join a small group. We start small groups about 4 weeks of this church. And some of you are like, I don't have anybody to help me. I don't have anybody in my own life. I just need some help. Join a small group. Some of you need to go through the grow plan and join a dream team because they give you relationships too. In fact, I tell you right now, if you want this church to be, if you want to test drive this thing for a year, do everything this church has to do and see if you grow in your faith. Man, grow plan, join a small group, come to the conferences, come to prayer nights, do everything there is to do, every program, every activity, and just see what God does over a course of a year. If you're stuck in your faith, some of you need to lead a small group. Some of you have been attending small groups for 5 years. You need to lead one. Why? Because you'll pray more and grow more when you lead others. So watch Nehemiah. Watch what Nehemiah happens. So he adjusts the plan. He says, therefore, I stationed some people behind the lowest points. You got to reinforce your weak areas. I stationed some people behind the, say it with me, lowest points of the walls and the exposed places. Check this out. I posted them by family. I posted them by groups. Because when you encounter opposition, you need support. And you might have to wave the white flag and ask for it. Well, nobody called me. You need to ask for help when you are trying to gain ground. He posted them by families. Check out. And he didn't just say, look out. He gave them swords and spears and bows. So yes, they prayed in point number 1 and fought the spiritual fight, but they posted a guard and fought the natural. Some things you just got to do. Yeah. Some of us have over-spiritualized the work that is needed to accomplish the call of the kingdom. Amen. And you just got to do what's doable. So you adjust what you're doing to achieve the results you are desiring. All right, number three. First, we don't listen to everyone. Second thing is we adjust to overcome. And then number 3, you got to be willing to fight. Be willing to fight. Because every time you start building for God, you can expect to fight. I'm just telling you. In fact, if you tried to do 21 days and it's like, man, everything in the world that could go wrong this week did, you're doing good. That's right. I'm telling you right now, if you try to build your marriage on a godly foundation, and you better get ready for a fight. That's right. If you want to raise your family in church, on the wisdom and knowledge of God, you better get ready for a fight. If you want to grow your faith personally, you better get ready for a fight. You want to do this 21 days thing? You want to do the last 14 days? I ain't telling you to be easy. If it's easy, it wouldn't be worth it. I ain't that preacher. I ain't smiling preacher. You got to be ready. Nehemiah had two options: run or resist. Run or resist. The way I see it, you got two options. Run. In 2019, it's going to be like 2018, and 2017, and 2016, and 2010. Remember 2010 when you said you weren't going to do it anymore? I'm trying to pastor you. You weren't going to be that way, you weren't going to act that way, and you weren't going to do that thing. But here you are 9 years later. You can run, or you can resist. Watch Nehemiah. After I looked things over, I stood up. I wonder if there's some people here today that have been knocked down so many times, and you're just tired of standing up. Don't you dare let the enemy intimidate you into quitting. Stand up. I stood up and I said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, let me give you the top four. I said to everybody that would listen, don't be afraid of them. I know you've been knocked down. Don't be afraid of them. I know it hadn't been a great year last year. Don't be afraid of them. Look at this phrase. Remember the Lord. Remember the Lord that made a way through the Red Sea. Remember the Lord that provided manna when we had nothing to eat. Remember the Lord who split the Jordan. Remember the Lord who killed the giant. Remember the Lord who showed up and made a way where there was no way. See, I love that because the Lord, that's his covenant name. That's his name that says, I won't abandon you. That's his name that said, I won't leave you. That's his name that says, I won't forsake you. That's his name that says, I'm in it till the end. You can't run from me. You can't hide from me. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome. And say it with me, Ann. That was so pathetic. And if you say it like that, the enemy to your soul is going to beat you down before you get to the car. Let's try that one more time. 11:30. You should be highly caffeinated by now. Nehemiah says, remember the Lord, the God who is a covenant-keeping God, who is great and awesome, and say it with me, and fight, and fight, and fight for your families, and fight for your sons, and fight for your, he says, fight for something bigger than you. If you can't fight for yourself, fight for our future. If you can't fight for anything else, you fight for our freedom. You got to have something on the inside of you that rears up. Nehemiah says, our problem is no problem for our God. Our problem is no problem for our God. What's he doing? He's rallying the troops. He's relieving fear. He's reinforcing confidence. See, here's the thing, the enemy to the Jewish people, that they missed it. The enemies to the Jews underestimated their willingness to fight. And I wonder, has our spiritual enemy underestimated your willingness to fight? You know, I share things a lot of times from my life and my past, and I don't know if it helps you or hurts you, because some people see pastors with S's on their chests, but I got to confess to you this morning, there's times in my life, and it happened several months ago now, where the pressures and the struggles and the obstacles were just an intense season in my life. And it got me to the point where I doubted my own ability. And I just want to be transparent with you. I doubted God's. And I was just in a prayer time, and I don't know why it came out. It came out. I said, God, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And you can look at me like you don't ever have those thoughts, or you can look at me and say, yeah, I've been there too. That's right. Because it didn't take for a moment. My mind was dreaming about some beach somewhere. And I ain't talking about Gulf Shores. Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. I want to go to an island where they spoke a different language and nobody knew me. So I don't think I can do that, man. And I don't know how God talks to you, but man, I was sitting there, and I felt like the Spirit of God went odd, which is in my mind, said, you don't know if you can do this anymore. Do what? And of course, I had a little pity party. Y'all ever had pity? I had me a little pity party right there. And felt like the Spirit of the Lord said that to me. He said, after all I've done, you prayed for this. 4 services packed out. You prayed for this world missions, impacting the world around the globe, locally, national, international. You don't think you can do this anymore? Seeing more people saved in 1 year than most churches seeing saved in. You don't know if you can do this anymore? Really, Forrest? I don't know how God talks to you. It's how hearing me. Really, Forrest? You don't think you can do this anymore? And I felt like God asked me a question. He said, hey, I felt like he asked, are you that same dude? You that same dude that used to beg me when you were 16 years old for me to use you? You that same dude? I didn't know it was radical then. It was radical. I got 18, man. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I jump in my car on a Saturday morning. I drive to the Smoky Mountains about 3 hours away. I spend all day praying around the smoke. You that same dude that would go pray around the Smoky Mountains and beg me to move on your behalf and beg me to be in your life and beg me. You that same dude that would get in your car after working construction all day, drive 3 hours, preach to 30 kids, drive home, get home at 2 in the morning, wake up at 6 a.m. and go to work and love every minute of it. You that same dude. I said, God, I'm that same dude. And then I began to tell my enemy, I'm that same dude. Let me tell you something. I'm that same dude that would take his little F-150 extended cab, stick 15 kids in it, and drive them to a youth program and see them throw down marijuana and gangs, bandanas. I'm that same dude. I'm that same dude that would carry a cooler full of Icy Pops. I walk in the ghetto to government housing. I start passing out Icy Pops, saying, you know what? I'm going to be here tomorrow night with a church bus because I believe God's got a plan for your life. I believe God's got a purpose in your life. I'm that same dude that will walk up to drug houses, pick my kids up. The banger would look at me and they say, leave him alone. He's a pastor. I'm that same dude. Some of you need to remind the enemy who you are. Because I'm telling you, some of you men in this room, you that same dude that didn't have a dad, and here you are being a dad. You that same dude that grew up in poverty, and here you are starting a company. You that same, some of you women need to remind the enemy, I'm that same woman. I'm the same woman where the enemy said, you never get out of this abusive relationship. Here I am, head held high, shoulders cocked back. I'm that same woman. I'm that same single mom that when they looked at me, said I couldn't provide for my kid, said I wouldn't overcome my circumstance. I'm that same woman. Same woman. So let me ask you again. Has the enemy underestimated your willingness to fight? And maybe you're like the people in Nehemiah. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're weary. You listen to this loudmouth. God rebuilds broken things. Keep your confidence. Don't you listen to everyone. You listen to the one that matters. Keep your confidence. It's not working. Adjust, adapt, overcome. We can do this and have some fighting.